So, Esther, many of us believe the culture of digital nomad and global collaborations are here to stay. Could you share with us some of the best practices and etiquettes for remote collaborations?
Sure. Um, so I think one of the interesting thing is that now we're all on Zoom and we're all on Google Hangouts, kind of forced to. Well, 9 months ago, I took my first remote job and had to sort of figure this out. And one of the big things I'm going to say is like the learning of like, where are your hands in this? And I think it's amazing. I started to realize that one of my team members would go like this a lot to me. And I used to think they were like saying like, stop, like you're saying something wrong. Insecurity coming in again. And I finally was like, what's with the hands? And he's like, that's my symbol. That's like my like spirit fingers. Like I'm saying like, great job. Like, great. I was like, oh, okay. But another thing we talked about was how in some ways, like you have no idea right now if I'm texting or if I'm like trying to find something down here. Like this interesting thing around meetings and people is like you or even making eye contact. Like I can't make eye contact with like Ricardo being like, you enjoying this? Because I'm really enjoying this. Like if we're in a meeting, like we could give ourselves a little side eye. So I think the thing was is just a complete shift in body language. Think about where your hands are. And generally they said, I got told once that like our PR and media people were like, normally we have to tell people when they're presenting to animate more when it's on a Zoom call. And they're like, we didn't have to tell you. I was like, oh, good. But I would just think about that. Just think about your body language and what you're sending. The big one, I think, is also the tool that you're using to communicate with everyone around the world. And for the foundation, we use Slack. But for the communities, we actually use like a meta wiki where everyone sort of communicates on the wiki, like kind of like behind the scenes of the project. So we call it meta wiki. But there's many different elements, and I would say it's interesting because it's like it's not like you necessarily hear the tone of what someone's saying. Words can be, and quick comments can be sometimes taken out of context. But I think find that tool that really works for you and your community and own that. The interesting thing about talking about tools and Figma and it's interesting because at the start of your career it can be sometimes, wow, this program, like good, because we're all catching up over here in our agency world, like we'd love to have you. But that program will change in 3 years and it will no longer be the thing that you can like we probably won't be on Slack in 2 years. We'll be on something else completely. So I loved what Ricardo was saying about like it's also all the soft skills that you need to learn that will actually be the thing that carries you through. But the biggest thing that I can say, and we're sort of sometimes we're lucky I'm in New York, and at FIT we had quite a diverse crew in our course. But when you're working with people around the world, the creative agency I work with now are in Norway. My creative director is in Johannesburg, and then you've got the community everywhere. Is think about what their culture is, and I no longer can jump on a Zoom call and be like, good morning, everyone. It's not good morning to everyone. And it's actually a little bit insulting that I haven't like factored that in. And like, even I wrote something around AM, PM, like, oh, it'll be like 12 PM. And someone, the crew in Norway were like, we don't know what you're talking about. You're like, oh, that's not global language. And that sort of goes to even like references that you make or different words that might be trigger words in different cultures to what you're used to. And sometimes it can be pretty like, whoa, I didn't mean that. But the best thing is that maybe that hurt a little bit and you may have hurt someone else in the same spark, but then you get to grow and be more of a global designer and more of a global thinker, more of a global UX person afterwards as well. So you really, the more you collaborate with people around the world and travel around the world, the more you become a true like global communicator.
Awesome. So I have two questions for you, which are kind of related. The first one is from Yulin. Can you talk about the biggest challenge in terms of communicating with people? And the second question, which I believe is is related in a different way. This one's from Luis. How do you sell your idea when the client is not entirely convinced or sold on the solution that you're presenting to them? I know you don't sell, you're in-house now, but you used to be in advertising agency.
Yeah, I've done that. I think also, no matter if you're in-house, you still got your client, whether it's your boss, whether it's your community, whether it's a different department that doesn't get at all what you're doing, so no, that's not a problem. The first one, the most challenging sort of communication I've had, was that it, CJ? Yeah, I would actually say, personally, one of the most challenging things that has happened to me in regards to this was we were in India doing a workshop for this rebranding, and we did a presentation that was kind of with one of our creative agencies to sort of fill in a bit of the gap in between these two branding workshops that we're doing. And we were like, we kind of like left it open, like, let's just celebrate some of your projects. And it was beautiful what we work on, and there was there was very sort of expensive projects that were shown, as well as like illustrative design. And I think it didn't quite land because we were in India, and it was just sort of it wasn't quite culturally relevant, and it really threw me, because it's like I kind of thought we were on the right page, and we weren't, and I didn't put myself in the shoes of the people that we were talking to, and I didn't really look at it from their perspective, and it wasn't for everyone, it wasn't, but I think that so much work had gone in to get all these people from around the world to be at this place, and we wanted to inspire them, and yet it kind of went a little bit tone deaf. And it was huge for me. I'd never really fully been in that experience before. And it was then going and speaking to different people and hearing them talk about it, and hearing what inspired them and what maybe didn't inspire them. And it made me just really think about, like, if you're doing anything, who have you run the presentation by? Who have you run the work by, to make sure that it is global, and it is bringing in many people's different perspectives, and maybe don't always just go with your gut or maybe what's worked in the past. And then, so from that, there had to be some conversations that happened afterwards. So that was some of the hardest communication I've done, because it's always the most surprising when you don't realize what you've, it's very different when you're like, I'm going to walk into a meeting now and this is going to be tough, to then, oh, I did something and it didn't work, and now I've got to like think about why it didn't work. I've got to now listen to the people why it didn't work, and then I've got to try and think about how can we improve this moving forward. So that still plays on me, but it'll probably be one of the biggest learnings I've had in my professional career. And then secondly, CJ, sorry, what's the second question?
No, I think you covered it all, because one is about selling an idea, and I thought your answer was great, because a lot of time it's about listening and understanding the person that you're talking to, right? And if once you understand them, then you get into a little more of communicating why you believe this is a good solution, but it doesn't always work. And then that's the moment that you have to really put on your designer's head, because you're not artists. You're there to solve their problem. You have to understand them in order to be able to help them. So I thought you communicated really well by sharing that.